Okay, so we'll start. Okay, hi, and welcome to all the viewers of the fifth dialogue on coronavirus and religion, hosted by the International Association of Religion Journalists, the IARJ, following the panels in Asia, North America, Europe, and Latin America. This one is the Mediterranean. This event will be recorded and posted on the Facebook page and the website of the IARJ, which is www.theiarj.org. I'm Jonah Mandel. I work for the French news agency AFP in Jerusalem, and I'm also a board member of the IARJ, and I'd like to introduce the other members of this panel. We have Georgia Gloudi, a religion blogger originally from Greece, now in Cyprus. We have Federica Turn in Italy, who writes for Jesus and Familia Cristiana, and she also spends time in Lesbos writing about the migrants and the migrant crisis. And we have Boris Soydan, who writes for T24 in Turkey. Still very much in the midst of the COVID crisis. A pandemic that not only affects our daily routines, but also raises big questions about our very existence. Now, I think religions like to deal with both aspects, those aspects of our lives, both the daily, the little things, and also the bigger picture. And today we'll get a bit of a glimpse about how different religions, how different countries are adapting or dealing with the coronavirus crisis. So let's start in Cyprus and Greece. Georgia, if you can tell us a bit about how bad the situation there is in general, COVID-wise, and how religious institutions or people are adapting or dealing with it.
You know, both in Greece and Cyprus, we had a general lockdown from mid-March till the beginning of May, where we had a few cases, but all the businesses, restaurants, shops, etc., were closed. So we made a beginning in the beginning of May. Schools also opened for some weeks, and during the summer, the situation, because it was the vacation period, so we had many cases, and now we have around, in Greece, we have around 300 cases per day and around 10 deaths. So we have some regional lockdowns and many strict measures and limitations. In Cyprus, we have fewer cases. We have some strict measures, but I think that we are not very close to a second lockdown. Now, regarding the religion institutions, first of all, I want to give you a very brief background of the religious diversity in both countries, because both Greece and Cyprus have a majority of Greek Orthodox communities. So we have to deal mainly with the Greek Orthodox Church. Secondly, we have a few religious communities in Greece, mainly Muslims, Jews, Armenians. And in Cyprus, we have many Muslims, Sunni Muslims especially. We have Maronite Church. We have Russians and Armenians. What I want to highlight is that Greek Orthodox Church and Greek Orthodox religion plays a key role in the society. And our national identity is very strongly linked to our religion. We can't imagine a Greek without being a Greek Orthodox, or a Cypriot without being a Greek Orthodox. So when the first lockdown came here, the state decided to close the churches, and we had a very strong opposition from the society and from the church to this decision. And it was a difficult period because we have the Easter period, which is the most important feast in the Greek Orthodox tradition. And people didn't want the churches to be closed. They wanted to go there. They wanted to attend the services. They wanted to receive the communion. And we had also many declarations from politicians, from scientists, from doctors, who insisted that churches must be open and they must not be opposed to the religious feeling of the society. So it was a very difficult decision for the state. It was a huge rivalry. After the first lockdown, churches opened again, and they offered the communion, because we received the communion with the spoon, with the same spoon. And till now, we have many strong oppositions in the society regarding this issue. It is very important to mention that many politicians, actually we had a case some days ago, I think 4 or 5 days ago, where a minister of the government in Greece went to receive the communion without wearing the mask, without anything in the church. And this created a big issue in the Greek society. And if we continue talking, we have many cases like this to highlight.
Federica, how's the situation in Italy now? And how has it affected religious practice?
Yes, but okay, in Italy, as you know, we start pretty high, because in March, when we were locked in the house, we were the first the first country after China with the highest number of COVID affected people. So it was like a shock for us. And despite of that, we, as Italians, you know, at the very first time, we try to be optimistic, kind of, and you know, we have some sort of manifestation of putting sheets outside of the windows and say everything gonna be all right, singing and cooking, and have like a sort of a community on social, on Facebook, not only. And okay, it was for the first time, but after we saw the people, the sick people, and the shocking images from people, dead people. No? We saw the people dead, and army truck took the people. It was really a shock for Italy. So we also saw the Pope celebrating an Easter alone on the St. Peter's, and it was raining, and I remember I think all the country was in front of the television with listening the Pope. He was looking tired, and it was really a great and shocking image. After that, we tried to reopen, but in the meantime, a lot of people lost the job, and the churches on the community, religious community, help a lot the people with helping with anything, food or clothes, because the people haven't enough money to live. It was in a month, in a few weeks, we really see the change in people and the situation. So it was really bad. Now is a little bit better. I don't know anyway, but I hope not. But I don't think we are going to a new lockdown, because in the hospital the situation is we are more organized, of course, but we can see what's happened. About the other point of view of the church's organization, I mean the church. I when I say church, I'm thinking about Catholic Church, because it's the main church in Italy. But of course there are many other confessions. Protestant churches, Waldensian Methodist, Baptist, Pentecostal, but also we have a lot of Muslim communities very active, and Jewish communities. They have organized themselves very well, I think, because they reacted to the lockdown, trying to continue the worship service on Facebook, on Zoom, and speaking for the Protestant churches, for example, practically every pastor have a channel and try to continue to have a link with the faithful and with prayer and services. And it was a surprise because a lot of people, they had a lot of followers. And this was good because the churches here were empty also before the lockdown. And maybe with this emergency, people started again thinking at faith and how important is the faith in the life. I don't know, but in the Protestant churches we have something a new spirit. I don't know. Maybe in Catholic churches it was different. And we had a big confrontation between Catholic Church and the government. Maybe we can talk after a bit about that because it was pretty hard.
And are the churches now open or closed? What's the situation?
Yes, of course. Yeah, the church are open since the 18th of May. So yeah, it's still quite empty, but this is a big problem. I think not only in Italy, because the people are not so confident to go to the mass.
Especially now.
Especially now, yes, of course, after the lockdown, because the emergency is not over. We are in the coronavirus emergency still now. So many people, of course, old people mostly, and the faithful are often old people, and they are not confident to go to the mass, but the churches are open.
Okay, but what's the situation in Turkey?
So hi again from Turkey. So we also have the first cases in March in Turkey. At the beginning, I mean, the scenes from the China were like science fiction. We haven't believed that it could come here to our soils, I mean to Turkey. But then in March, everything has started. And at the end of the March, the mosques were closed due to an official decree of the Central Religious Authority. In Turkey, all the mosques were managed by the Central Religious Authority of the state, which is related to the state. This is the way for the state to control the religious life, the religion. So, of course, the closure of the mosques shocked many devotees. Some of them even have protested the decree. But in Turkey, the state has an iron fist, and nobody can change the decision when it has been decided by the authorities. So till the end of the June, the mosques, and by the way, of course, the church in Istanbul and in Izmir, I mean, these cities are still having some churches and some other temples from other religions. All the mosques and churches were closed till the end of the June. The coronavirus measures were removed at the end of the June and at the beginning of July. Turkey has turned to normal. The holiday towns and by the way, the temples, the mosques were filled with thousands of people again, especially during the Eid. You know, the Eid was at the end of the July in Muslim countries. During the Eid, the families have come together, talked and laughed for hours. Now we understand it was really dangerous for coronavirus, for the pandemic. By the way, at the end of the July, a very important religious event has happened in Istanbul. Maybe you already know, you also know, the Hagia Sophia Museum. It was a museum till the end of the July, but originally, of course, it was constructed as a church 1,000 years ago by Byzantium Empire, then used as a mosque during the Ottoman Empire, and converged to a museum at the beginning of a modern Turkish Republic by the founders of the Republic. Hagia Sophia has been converged to mosque again at the end of July. And why it's important for coronavirus, thousands of people have rushed to the opening celebration and to the first prayer in Hagia Sophia. Of course, no one cared the social distancing rules during the celebrations and prayer. And now, as expected, coronavirus cases have risen again in the late August in Turkey. Now, my country, Turkey, is in the middle of a second wave of the coronavirus pandemic, or go through the second peak of the first wave, according to health minister of Turkey. It's a disputable issue if it's a new wave or the second peak of the first wave. Yeah. So this is the short story of the coronavirus from the window of religious things in Turkey.
Thanks, Boris. Yeah, it's not very different from what you guys described in Israel. We had a first wave here. March, April, they shut down the country pretty well. And that was during the holiday of Passover, which was in April. And it was a very big deal for Jews to not be able to celebrate it traditionally, which is in a big forum, you know, big families and a gathering, and everyone goes to synagogue. But people somehow managed. And then May or so, they opened the country again, and now we're in a huge second wave. We've got around 5,000 new cases a day, which is quite a bit for a country of 9 million. And they shut down the country on Friday, this Friday. And it was just before the Jewish New Year. So it forced people to adapt. Normally, the most important prayers of the year, where you go to synagogue, are on the New Year and the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, which is 10 days after the New Year. And people had to find a new way to celebrate. So you weren't allowed to go to big family meals, and you weren't allowed to go inside a synagogue. So the weather here is okay now. And what people did is set up prayer groups outdoors, in yards, on the streets. And it's kind of a different way of experiencing religion, which once used to be based around a certain structure, like the synagogue, the temple, where people go and meet, and the rabbi's there and everyone's there. And now it's become more local. You go down the stairs of your building and there's a group of people praying. It also means, though, that less people will be part of these prayers in a way. For example, the children are less, it's not as easy, let's put it this way, to have big prayers like it is if you have a nice big building with a bathroom and entrances and chairs. It's a bit tougher. but there is this feeling that there's a lot of prayer and religion on the streets. Yeah, that is one kind of way that it's affecting religious life and how people are adapting. Here too, there's a lot of pressure from religious members of the government to not shut down the country before the high holidays, because that would negatively affect the ability to have these big prayers, which are very important. But it's interesting because, Federica, you mentioned how evangelists are able to put out their message through social media or through the internet. In Israel, that's kind of happening in Judaism, but less so. Georgia, is there a similar phenomenon in Cyprus or Greece with social media?
Yes, exactly. When we had the lockdown and we knew that the Easter period is very close because it was in mid-April, I think 20th of April was the Easter. All the churches created a Facebook page. They had the Zoom prayers. They could stream online and live the Sunday masses, the Sunday services, and especially the services during the Holy Week. Something which was very important for the faithful, for the believers, and it was our unique opportunity to connect with our religious feeling, because during the Easter period we are all going to the church. Even people who are very secular, who are not observant, they usually go, for example, on Good Friday. So it was very important for us, and churches got adapted very, very quickly. Not only big churches, but also local churches, in the villages or in very small neighborhoods in the center of Athens or in Cyprus. All the churches got adapted. The same happened also to Cyprus with the Catholic Church, the Maronite churches, and it also worked with people who live abroad, and they usually come to Greece or to Cyprus for holidays. So they created also a bond with them, not to lose the connection with their religion and with their traditions. And I want to admit that churches got adapted very quickly and very efficiently.
Yeah. And tell me, are there any examples that come to mind from your countries of the way churches are? We spoke about how the churches help the communities. Federica, do you want to maybe talk about what the churches are now doing, the Catholic Church in Italy for Lesbos? Is that something that you could talk about?
Yeah, this is a thing I would like to say, because it's interesting. You say, Jonah, in Italy, the Jewish community it was the best to communicate through media, and yes, the Jewish community really did a good work. They starting since the beginning, and every day, 6 days a week, the rabbis talk and with starting with teaching the children, with saying about really all topics, all things. They change the way to communicate to the people. It was a really big change. I have a friend of mine. She's Jewish. She working in a newspaper also, and she says all change, all this change in this time. So it was a big confrontation between the Catholic Church and the government, because the government said at the end of the April that will reopen the factories and the magazines, some magazines, and the church rises. And why you want to open the factories and not the churches? And so the bishop claimed to reopen the church, but I think it were not the faithful, but the bishop. The conference of bishops, they talk about a wound, an unbelievable wound of religious freedom. And so after that, the government in fact, reopened the church at 18 on May 18. But the interesting thing is not that, because in Italy, you know, normally if a Catholic church says something, government answer. The interesting is that other religious communities says, why not us? We want the same treatment. And the government say yes, and they signed the really important status, and all communities reopened on 18, not only Catholic Church. It is a good sign to the ecumenical way of stay together, and and a new step in the relationship between government and churches in Italy is not. It's a really good things, because you know, we have at the first place the Catholic Church, and at the second and third the other communities, but also the Muslim communities did the same. They reopened. They wait for the end of Ramadan. It was a really good thing, because to avoid gathering. So I know we have a new way to stay together after that, because it's a good thing, I think.
Yeah.
A victory also for the ecumenical way of life.
Yeah. Boris, is there any, do you think that there'll be any change in the way that Islam is practiced in Turkey now following the corona? Do you think that the mosques will be able to adapt to more digital or different community structure?
Social media or Zoom or other digital mediums are not a common phenomenon for Islam. I mean, in Islam, either you go to mosque or you are alone at your home. You are alone with the God. Zoom is not a common practice among Muslims, because I think what is different from other religions in Islam, or according to some ideologies of according to some parts of Islamic countries, imams are not as powerful as in, for instance, in Italy, in Catholic religion, or in other religions. Imams are not very powerful. You don't need imams to pray to God in Islam. Of course, the mosques are very important, especially the Friday prayers are very important in Islam. You need to go to mosque for praying, and mosques could even converge to a political place in Fridays, because everybody is there. But even again, in fact, you don't need the imam. So you can pray at your home, but I need to note that there are sects, of course, in Islam. In Turkey, they are, in fact, they are not legal. I mean, the sects are forbidden, were forbidden at the beginning of Turkish Republic, when Ottoman Empire has been demolished and the new republic has been founded in Turkey. All the Islamic sects were banned. But of course, in social lives, sects, I mean Islamic sects, are still very powerful. They were very powerful even say 50 years before, and still very powerful. And the sheikhs of the sects, like say Nakshis, for instance, it's a very powerful sect in Turkey and in the other neighboring countries. in Middle East, sheikhs of the sects have YouTube channels. Probably all of them have YouTube channels, and they are giving sermons in the channels. But these sermons are not for, I will reiterate that, these sermons are not for praying. I mean, you can pray by yourself at home, but then to find the road to learn the realities, to think about life, you can listen or watch your sheikh if you are a member of a sect. So this is, I mean, there is a nuance between praying and being member of a sect in Islam, at least in Turkey.
Yeah. It's hard for me to believe, but we're almost out of time. But maybe let's just touch one more aspect briefly. I mean, one religions love to give answers to the big questions of lives. You know, why are we all dying now? Why are we sick? Why is God angry? So you saw in Israel with the high holidays, you saw some leaders, some religious community leaders were saying, you know, this is a reminder that we need to improve ourselves. We need to be better. This is God's way of giving us a message. I was curious if in your countries, in your religions, you see a similar kind of like galvanizing of the pandemic to kind of increase religious sentiment and involvement.
I don't think so. I don't think so in Turkey. Of course, I don't have any data or any research about the feelings of different people. But what I see is the coronavirus has given a new power to scientific people. I mean, now in Turkey, everybody, devotees, not devotees, and by the way, Christians and other minorities in Turkey, all of them, I mean, all of us are listening to medicine professors. Now the new sacred, they are kind of sacred now. I mean, the medicine professors are talking and everybody is listening to them. So I don't think so. I mean, the pandemic did not galvanize religious feeling, at least in Turkey.
Federica?
Yes, I think in Italy it's the same, with a lot of confusion because it's people didn't believe in the mask. They say go to the street saying the mask is not useful, and other people say yes, the end of the world is gonna be now. You can see anything, but I think Italy is Italy. If you want to see something, you can come here and you can see it. No, seriously, I think in some churches it was a great opportunity to think about the faith and how to talk about God and faith. I think in the Protestant church, I'm Protestant, in the Waldensian church, it was an opportunity to thinking together about that. How you can talk about God to the new generation, for example, and how we can help fragile people or migrants people. We have a big issue with migration, and as a Protestant church we have a big important project since 2015. We with the government they signed a protocol to take people from camp on the border, European border, both in Lebanon. They take people and they bring people in a safe way to Italy. So it is a religious project, ecumenical one, because the Protestant church make this project with the Catholic, with Sant'Egidio, a comunità, Sant'Egidio community. So it's a very good, a high-profile project to save people. And now, okay, they stopped with the pandemic, of course, but now they restart to work, to go to save people, because we really need it in this situation. As you know, we have not only the pandemic emergency, we have another social emergency about migrations, of course, and United Europe is closing the door every day, much more, and build walls. And I think as church in Italy, I think they don't want it. They don't want it. I talk for Catholic and Protestant too.
Regarding Greece and Cyprus, I would say that most of the priests do not focus on explaining, the divine message or anything behind COVID. I think that they are divided in two categories. The first category of priests do not refer to COVID. They just say, okay, we have to follow the regulations, we have to follow the instructions from the doctors, etc. The second category is the one that, spread these conspiracy theories that COVID-19 does not exist, and they try to persuade people that they don't have to follow the rules. And we had a very recent example, I think last week, where a bishop here in Cyprus said to the church during, the Sunday sermon that they do not have to send their children to school wearing the mask, because wearing the mask here in schools is compulsory. They don't have to send their children to school because this mask is from devil. So it's better to leave them at home without wearing the mask rather than going to school, because the education is not useful. So, this was a huge shock for us. But, many people believe that. And I don't know if they follow the rules or not, but I'm sure that on the back of their mind, they truly believe this.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, our time is up, but thank you all for very, very interesting and enlightening viewpoints. I wasn't aware of a lot of what you said. It was very interesting also to hear different religions, different countries. And I'm sure that the long-term effects on religion and religious life will only be fully kind of realized in years to come. But there's no doubt that this is going to be a big turning point for a lot of religions and a lot of religious practices. So thank you all, and stay safe, and check out the IARJ for the further panels and the previous ones already recorded. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao.